Yeah, this one's not one. This is Donna with More Than a Review, and I'm thrilled to be here with Daphne. She's going to talk about her book, What's Your Scarlet Letter? And I'm thrilled to be able to help her share her story and her message. So Daphne, I'll let you tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about the book.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you. Well, my journey started, people have asked me, how long did it take you to write this book? It's taken my whole life to write this book because this book is about my journey. And part of my journey, delightfully, has been to be married to my husband, celebrating 31 years this coming October, and to have given birth to 2 beautiful children. And now we've grown our family by adding a daughter-in-law as well. And we've got a couple of dogs we tolerate as well. So, you know, that's a little bit about me.
Very good. So tell us about the book. What's kind of your main theme in the book?
So with What's Your Scarlet Letter, what I really want the readers to recognize is that the one shared human experience is pain. I wish it were joy, peace, happiness, grace, forgiveness. Sadly, not everyone gets to experience that in their life. What we all do experience is pain of some kind. Having gone through my healing process, I was so grateful, so encouraged that although it may sound cliche, I wanted even just one other person to receive that hope and that encouragement. So I figured the best way to reach the masses was to write a book and to share my story.
So was sharing your story painful because did you relive it or was it more of a healing process?
That's a very actually interesting question because I thought when I sat down to write that I was all done, that the healing comes in layers and that I peeled back and exposed the center of that onion, if you will, because you know, it stinks really, you know. But walking through the writing process, it was honestly thanks to Natalie Grant. I gotta tell you, shout out to the songstress Natalie Grant. A couple of her songs got me through this book. And I relived it a little bit, yet doing so from a healthier place. So it was easier to focus on the reader, the person who's going to get help from this book, and that's what got me through.
That's awesome. So is the book more about your process or is it not maybe a self-help for people to read it and kind of help them process?
Sure. So if I had just shared my story, it would be considered a memoir. However, when I was writing the book, I shared the topic and the concept with some other women. And surprisingly, they said to me, they felt like they had a scarlet letter. And their stories weren't anything like mine. It was a hurt, it was a different topic, but the same hurt, if you will. So this book not only addresses my story, which is based in abuse, both physically, sexually, verbally, and emotionally, it also addresses women's stories who've dealt with abortion, adoption, divorce, husbands addicted to pornography, body shaming issues, and rejection. So we touch on all of those subjects because hurt is hurt and hurt happens. It's what we do with that hurt. Do we let it define us or do we say, I recognize this, I'm not going to suffocate under the shame and put on a mask of perfection. I'm gonna break through those and I'm gonna reclaim my voice and understand whose I am and what I really have to offer from this.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So who would be the target audience for the book?
You know, when I wrote the book, I figured this is for wounded women. Since writing the book, I have had people share with me that as a caregiver, so maybe you've got a daughter, maybe you've got a niece, maybe you've got some other type of woman in your life that you care for, this book can help you understand what they're going through. One of the topics I really dive into is grooming, because sadly, that's very prevalent in our society today. People don't even know they're being groomed and set up for abuse of some kind. Also, I've had some men show interest in the book because that helps them understand what a woman is going through or maybe has gone through on their journey. So it's really a fairly broad spectrum.
So would you explain a little bit more about grooming? honestly, I had just heard that word for the first time last week, and I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
So kind of explain that to the audience.
So grooming is when a person of authority, maybe it's an educator, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's just an older relative, when they start trying to gain the trust of someone who is vulnerable because they're subject to that person's authority, what they do, it's what's called a slow fade. Just little by little, they start gaining their trust, and everyone wants to feel needed. Everyone wants to fit in. So the groomer is really a predator. I'm just going to call a spade, okay? And what they're doing is they're looking for somebody who is weaker at the time. Then they train them or groom them so that when they're ready to pounce or perpetrate, that at the time victim really considers it normal. It's almost expected. And there are sometimes threats involved. That's what happened with me. I had the threat of, this could happen to your younger siblings, so you need to keep your mouth shut. And back in my day, there was no such thing as stranger danger, and we trusted everybody. We were just vulnerable. So with grooming, it's that person of authority who is looking at someone who there can become their subject, if you will.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you. So is there one tip out of the book? I don't want to spoil it for everybody, because we want everybody to go out and buy it. But if you give us one tip from the book.
So what I would really encourage a woman to recognize is that your hurt matters. One time is one time too many. It doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to carry that with you. And a saying I love to repeat is, if you're breathing, it's for a reason. Because you still have an opportunity to release that hurt, to reclaim your voice, and to live a life of empowerment.
Wow, very good. So share with us, do you have any other books in your head that might be coming?
I do. I really thought, kind of like with a baby, you have the first one, you're like, I'm done, I'm not doing that again. But also like with a baby, after a little while, you're like, well, that wasn't so bad. So my husband and I are actually going to write a book about marriage. And a lot of people will be encouraged because in my book, we talk about the abuse that he was a part of in my life. And thanks to God's healing power, redemption. And so I can say when we celebrate 31 years, we truly do celebrate 31 years. So we've got the marriage book coming out. And then I'm launching a course next month titled The Wavemaker Method. And so there will be a book that goes along with a course as well.
So tell us a little bit about the Wavemaker Method.
So now that I have my voice back, I don't accept the status quo anymore. Stagnation stinks and stuck is yuck. And there isn't any reason why we have to live life by default. We were created to live life by design. And so this is going to be a process for men, mainly focused on women, because of that mask of perfection that I mentioned earlier. We struggle under and behind shoulda, coulda, woulda, and we're gonna break those barriers, start making some waves.
Very good. Thank you so much. Anything you want to close and just leave the audience with?
Sure, thank you. If you're somebody who's been hurt, I'm sorry. It didn't have to happen, and it was never, ever your fault. You can break free from the shame, and you can soften the pain because you're worth it and you have value. Today, you can make one simple change in your journey by understanding who you are and by owning your value. I believe in you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.